Staff evaluation is certainly taking a tremendous twist, if you will, in our country. Specific initiatives at the federal level and certainly initiatives here in our state are making evaluation tremendously important, even prior to what might happen in the future, obviously. What I thought I would do is to frame the presentation around a few questions, looking at the purpose of evaluation, looking at standards, looking at means of collecting data, and where we are going, not only with data, but what is out there that we have to be very, very aware of, so that we're able to document proficiency with our staff. And I think that's extremely critical. The bottom line, the bottom line with the purpose really is the second issue up here, and that's improving student performance. That is what I feel is really the major purpose of certified staff evaluation. That we have to determine what is happening in the classroom, how can we improve in what is happening in the classroom, thereby improving student achievement. We can't eliminate, however, code and regulations. Code being specific code, New Jersey Administrative Code, regulations being policy that's developed by your boards that do not supersede code, obviously, but are very, very important to follow. I mentioned differentiation of instruction. We can look at differentiation of evaluation. It's called the situational leadership model. The authors are Blanchard and Hersey, and they have the 4 quadrants. And they identify the quadrants being on the lower right, directing. This is the course of action the administrator would take. Coaching, supporting, and delegating. These areas are defined as looking at high direction specificity and looking at something called low supportive behavior. Now, under another model that's out there,
yes? I know we're running out of time, but I just, I like the clinical supervision model. I think it does work. I think that teachers, I can think of at least 2 or 3 instances as I look back where what has come out of the post-conference with the teacher is actually the teacher saying, even though we had a pre-conference and we talked about what was always the unexpected things, the things that just happen in spite of the best laid plan or whatever, or how we, using this model. And where a teacher has sat down and said, well, I planned to do this, but it didn't quite work out that way, and they're actually reflecting in the conference. Sometimes I haven't had to say anything. Because they've come out and they've told me, and I think that is what I'm looking for. You're looking for that kind of reflection to come out from the teacher, rather than, again, as you get the high direction and the low support. You want it to be collaborative. Can we create the situation in a situation leadership where that can happen? And so, yeah, I definitely.
I appreciate Dorian, bringing this up, because the critical piece that has been added to the clinical supervision model most recently has been the post-conference self-reflection, as well as the reflection during the actual post-conference. Right. She's talking about the post-conference actual reflection. Right. There are some guiding questions you could ask a teacher when you sit down for a post-conference. A lot of times I would say to them, well, geez, what would you do differently? Well, that's sort of, after I thought about it, after I read about this, that's kind of negative. You're saying, what did you do wrong? What did you do wrong, and how are you going to change it? It's research has suggested, hey, to build this collaborative environment, build this trustworthy environment, might it not be better to say, if you had to do this lesson again, what would you continue to do that you felt was successful? And then, start your discussion there. So that's the reflection during the post-conference. Research is also suggesting that self-reflection on both parts, the administrative part and the teacher part, How, as the administrator, how would I improve my performance if I was going to do this again? The teacher hopefully is going to sit down and say, what would I change? What would I do differently? What would I keep to improve my performance? Okay? So, hey, it's there. It's a tool that you have. Okay? Another tool that we have, and boy, she is making a big hit out there.
Yes, she is.
Charlotte Danielson, in her framework of teaching, she has the particular domains, and I think there's a total of 22 dimensions under the 4 domains.
And she has her rubrics. I mean,
Yes.
Pardon?
she's got the rubrics that go
And
along
what
with
you see, but isn't that becoming a critical issue? Especially in our environment today. If we're looking at merit pay, if we're looking at performance pay, I think we may have to very seriously consider rubrics. Instead of looking at the standard form that we've been using, classroom management, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. Wow, what does that mean? Instructional pedagogy, satisfactory, unsatisfactory. So, we might need something more definitive, such as a rubric, which she has included, okay? Alternative approaches, Downing, 10, 15 years ago, has something called a 3-minute classroom walkthrough. And basically what Downey is saying is that she does not use this to evaluate staff members. That is not the purpose of Downey's 3-minute walkthrough. Like things that we have done in the past, especially with Madeline Hunter, we are doing with Downey. Districts are taking the Downey walkthrough and modifying it to meet their needs relative to staff evaluation. But this is evaluation dealing with curricular decisions and dealing with instructional decisions. She feels it's better to go into 10 classes a day for 3 minutes, get a picture of what's taking place at a grade level, a picture of what's taking place in your school, whatever the situation might be, multiple visits over a period of time, then meeting with the staff, and in essence saying to the staff, over this period of time, this is the data that I've collected relative to this particular curriculum, or relative to this particular strategy that we have been practicing. And this is what I have collected. What I would like you folks to do now is that we'll meet in 2 weeks. How about if you get together in your little groups, come up with strategies and suggestions on how we can look at this data, possibly implement new strategies to be more effective. Goodbye. We're dealing with ownership, we're dealing with collaboration, we're dealing with trustworthiness. I did not start the meeting by saying, geez, I went. Marzano, very interestingly, has an electronic platform now called iObservations. It's brand new. It's certainly based on research. He has 41 key strategies that he's talking about. His books with the art and science of teaching, as an example, and certainly a number of others.
And he has a lot of webinars also.
Yes, yes.
At least once or twice a week.
Yep. So the accessibility for the staff members to continue the professional growth, a lot of it is individualized. Okay, so it's probably going to end up being a very, very powerful tool. There's mentoring, peer coaching, professional learning communities that you could develop. Portfolio assessment, okay, when evaluating staff. Peer assessment. We tried this in a few states where peers assess one another. Very, very interesting. And action research. And then lastly, some great reading, folks. I call it Back to the Future. Okay, and I robbed that from Back to the Future, obviously. If you have a chance, please make it a chance to download these things. Just in a synopsis, the widget effect examines the pervasive and longitudinal failure to recognize and respond to variations in effective teachers. Okay, what does all that mean? If I may, few more moments. There are at least several hundred incompetents now in the school system, says the superintendent. Other observers think there are several thousand, while still others insist that several would be nearer the mark. Whatever these incompetents were, unfit to teach at any time, or have been rendered unfit by the passing years, is a matter of opinion. The question is, why are they allowed to remain? It's now 2010. This was written in the New York Times in 1936. That's what the widget effect deals with. So long, Lake Woebegone. It's the Woebegone effect. What basically means that if you go into a school system, go into a school, everyone is doing satisfactory work. Rush to judgment. This is an article or a document dealing with performance pay, merit pay. And then lastly, how bold is bold. This is Barney Duncan outlining race to the top. Very, very interesting read. You're on the cutting edge, folks. The paradigm is changing. You're going to be part of it. I mean, you have to be part of it.